Good morning, everyone. A warm welcome to all our participants. We are thrilled to have you join us today for the HSbooster training session towards a CEN-CENELEC Workshop Agreement. Thank you so much for your time and willingness to spend it with us. I'm Ivana Mijatovic and I'm the lead of HSbooster Training Academy. And today we have a fantastic lineup of speakers. Joining us are Fernando Utria, Dr. Raquel Portela, and Javier Lopez-Quiles. Let me say a few words about our today's trainers. Fernando Utria is the head of Research and Innovation Department at UNI, the Spanish Association for Standardization, Spanish national standardization body. Fernando is a mechanical engineer with 23 years of experience in managing standardization activities and 12 years experience in European projects. He is a project and portfolio manager, trainer, and advisor on the use of standardization in research and innovation activities. He is an expert in CEN-CENELEC group related to standardization, innovation, and research. Dr. Raquel Portela is a chemical engineer and a tenured scientist at the Spanish National Research Council, Institute of Catalyst and Petrochemistry. She is a coordinator of the Horizon 2020 project Charisma on a Raman harmonization and a participant in several other ongoing European projects. Dr. Portela has 20 years of experience in research on air pollution control by catalysts and adsorption, as well as in optimization of catalytics reaction. Javier Lopez-Quiles is a project manager at the Spanish Association for Standardization, UNE, where he managed national and European technical committees for the development of standards related to construction products. He also provides expertise to research and innovation projects and international cooperation projects concerning standardization activities. Let me say a few words about today's trainings. So the HSbooster training series, Standardization in Practice, aims to make activities of national standardization bodies, European national standardization bodies, closer to researchers through various topics relevant to researchers' activities, and training sessions of this series is intended to introduce work of national standardization bodies and provide some answers on how national standardization bodies can support research projects. We know that standardization is a valuable approach to enhance the recognition of research results, and many research projects strive to broaden the user network for their findings by actively participating in standardization processes. In case where is no ongoing standardization efforts are underway in a specific context of interest and a widespread impact is desired, especially across diverse sectors and stakeholders, establishing CEN-CENELEC Workshop to formulate CEN-CENELEC Workshop Agreement, CWA, can be a prudent choice. This method is fastest as it involves ad hoc groups, making it particularly well suited for the outcome of research processes or research projects. It can also serve as an initial step forward to future European or international standards. This training session is designed to assist research and innovation projects in enhancing their understanding of CEN-CENELEC Workshop and CWA. It addresses key questions such as how to initiate the CWA process, what prerequisite needs are needed to be met, and the required resources. Mr. Fernando Utria will be providing us with training on how to plan and execute a CWA. Dr. Raquel Portela will present a success case from the Horizon 2020 project Charisma. sharing their experience and lesson learned, and Javier Lopez Quiles will delve into the experience of Horizon 2020 projects Form Planet and Tough Steel. I'm eagerly anticipating in Insight. I'm eagerly anticipating the insight our trainers will offer today. Please note that today webinars will be recorded and a copy will be made available on our website afterward. We value your inputs and questions through the webinars, and please feel free to use chat or Q&A feature to share your thoughts and ask any questions as we go along. Fernando, floor is yours. Fernando? Fernando, I'm so sorry, you're muted.
Yes, I was muted. Sorry. Well, thank you very much. I think HSbooster is making a very good work on with this kind of trainings. Well, in UNE, we have been providing this kind of training for many years to researchers, to national contact points, to public authorities. So we are very glad to contribute, and I think, and I expect this can be very useful for the researchers, because CWA is one of the topics or one of the tools we use in many projects. I think you are seeing my screen now.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. As there are many information to share, so I will try to start and save time. Well, just a brief introduction of my organization, the Spanish Association for Standardization. We are a non-profit and private organization. We are the Spanish national standardization body for almost 40 years now. And our role, of course, is to perform and to manage the national, European, and international standardization activities in Spain. And as part of these activities, we integrate standardization in many projects, more than 100 projects so far, European projects, most of them. And in many of them, the outcomes has been a CEN Workshop Agreement. So we have a lot of experience that we will share with you. This is the information I will try to transmit today. Is just a brief introduction on the standardization concept, a description of the basic facts for the CWA and the process of elaboration, and then some recommendations from our experience that I think can be interesting for the researchers. And finally, to show some examples of different projects in which this tool has been used. So let's start with the standardization concept. Maybe some of you are aware and are used to it, but in many cases, this is a vague concept for many persons. So I will try to focus on what we understand by standardization. You know, maybe you know that in the standards development organizations like us or the international ones, there are many structures that we call technical committees in one topic and one specific topic. It can be some hundreds of them. And these technical committees are just groups of organizations and groups of people which are interested in one topic. They work on a voluntary basis, and they can come from all the stakeholders related with this activity: manufacturers, users, researchers, universities, authorities, etc. All of them working together, defending their interest, putting in common these different interests. They agree solutions, technical specifications, which are of voluntary use and which are published by this standards organization. and which are made by consensus. As these are more or less the basic characteristics of standardization. And what are the role of the standards organizations? Well, we provide them the common rules to all these technical committees, so they develop this work in the same way. They provide a transparent process which make these final documents reliable and recognized. And it is important to differentiate this standardization activity from regulation, which is different, and from certification. Both of them can use standards, but they are different activities and with different aims and performed by different stakeholders. So, well, the official standards organization at international level at ISO for the general topics, IC for the electrotechnical topics, and EUTU for the telecommunication. And at the European level, we got the equivalent organizations as CEN and CENELEC and ETSI. And as well, the third level is at the national level. In every country, there is one national standardization body or two, one for the general part and one for the electrotechnical part. There are some examples, but in every of your countries, there will be one of them. The common features of these organizations is that we are subject to many regulations, European or national regulations, and international agreements, for example, with the World Trade Organization. We use more or less the same common rules, except maybe for the telecommunications one, which is a bit different. And the participation is linked in the three levels, national, European, and international. A part of this standards, official standards organization, there are many others. There are just a few examples here. But there are many others which are for every sector. In many cases, they are very important in this sector, but they are not linked to international agreements or legal constraints. They have their own rules, and everyone works in a different way. And in some cases, they have agreements with these official standards organizations, so their documents finally become international standards or European standards. And we talk about the standards, but there are many different types of documents which are included in this kind of documents. We have the standard, for example, at the European level, the EN standard or the ISO IC standard at the international level, which is the top level document of the standardization system, because it reaches full consensus and very wide consensus. We got the technical specification, the TS, which reaches or needs less consensus, is sometimes when there is still not consolidated knowledge. They have limited duration, so it's a testing a solution to become in the future a standard or not. We got also the technical report, which is an informative document which includes no requirements. And finally, the workshop agreement that at European level is called CWA, at international level IWA. And in every country or in many countries, we got equivalent documents. In Germany, for example, the DIN spec. In Spain, we got the Specificación UNE. In Italy, the Prassi de Riferimento. So in every country, we got more or less the same kind of documents. And the characteristics of this document are they are elaborated quite fast, because they need a reduced consensus. So they are the topic that we will explore today. And we will focus in the European version of this kind of documents, the CWA. Okay, if you remember what I said at the beginning about the technical committees, well, the CWAs are not made in technical committees. They are making specific groups with that we call CEN-CENELEC workshops. With that we must differentiate. This is not an event. What we usually understand as workshop, this is more a working group that was during some months to develop a CEN-CENELEC Workshop Agreement, which is a document, not the final document. They are open to the participation of any interested parties, even being a European standardization initiative. They can be open even to participants outside the European Union. And the result of this group, the work of this group, is the CWA, which is a publication of CEN and CENELEC, elaborated in this kind of workshop. They are very well fitted, designed for containing emerging knowledge, and so they are very important for research and innovation projects. They need just the consensus from the participants, so the elaboration can be quite fast, no? Because finally what takes time is this consensus. They have a limited duration of maximum of 6 years to allow to test in the market this new knowledge, and finally be discarded if they don't work off, or become a new standard if they are interesting. And they can take various forms. In most cases, they are a text file, of course, but it can be also computer codes or other kind of documents. The benefits or the reasons to use a CWA in this kind of projects or this kind of initiatives is, well, they provide some impact. They become a recognized reference document, which is published outside the consortium of the project. So it's something more has a bit more of impact than a document from the own project. As I said before, it can be done in a few months very quickly. So it's the most fast track standard we got. The openness in the process and the visibility to all market players is also interesting. And as mentioned, is a suitable document to cover new knowledge, that the one that arises from the research activities. It's a way also to test different solutions. You know that standards cannot diverge one from other, and CWAs cannot diverge from a published standard, but they can diverge from another CWA. So therefore, different projects can be a way to test different solutions and check which one is finally the preferred in the market. No? And it can be a first step towards a future full standard, which is the most impactful document of ours. Well, about the process of creation of the CWA, these are more or less the steps. All the process and all the characteristics of the CWA are specified in CEN-CENELEC Guide 29, that I'm in one of the slides before. There was the link to read it, but I don't want to repeat what is written there. I was make an adaptation of this process to most simple words to be better understood. So what you need to start a CEN workshop from a research or innovation project? Well, the first step is the preparation of all the process. The first that you will need is to define, to have clear some roles. In a workshop, there will be a chair, that usually in the case of projects, usually is the coordinator or one of the partners most related with the topic of the workshop. There must be a secretariat that always needs to be a national standardization body, one of the members of CEN and CENELEC. And they can be either partners of the consortium, so when in this case it is easy and direct, but they can also be subcontracted for this activity. But in this case, the project needs to have foreseen some budget for this, more or less. This is the range, the usual range, even if it's not a fixed rule, it's about 20 or 30,000 euros. And of course, you will need to grant the transparency of the selection. You will need to launch a tender or to call for some offers, etc. So this is a bit time consuming, and it is better to take it clear from the beginning of the project to avoid avoid problems. Finally, in the workshop, there will be also participants that will appoint later in the next step. They will be, of course, the partners or some of the partners of the project, but also external participants that will enrich with their contributions the elaboration of the final document. Well, once you have clear this who will develop these roles, there is a self-assessment that is important to prepare well. The proposers have to fill one workshop description, which is a template document provided by CEN-CENELEC, which is filled by the secretariat and the proposer, and which includes the description of the background and of the aims of the workshop and the intended documents and the related activities, etc. It's important to make this self-assessment, which is included in this template, because it foresees some possible problems. One of the problems can be, well, there are some sensible topics that can be included in one CWA, but they need to be approved by the CEN and CENELEC technical board, which is the group of CEN and CENELEC that decides on the topics related with the technical work of CEN and CENELEC. For example, the main topic here is the management system. So following the PTCA, plan to check up scheme. Nobody knows this kind of document grow without some control. So if you plan to develop this kind of content, you will need to justify it and be approved by CEN and CENELEC. Other possible problem to take into account is the overlapping with existing TCs. A workshop can be developed even if they are overlapping the scope of one existing TC, provided that they don't, the TC is not working on this topic at this specific moment and is not planning to do it in the future, and they don't have objections to launch this new work. For this, in this case, if there is an overlapping with an existing TC, there must be a consultation of 30 days to check their approval or check if they have objections. If they don't have these objections, okay, this is no problem, you can go ahead. But if there are objections, we go again to the decision of the Senate. Okay, once we have made this self-assessment and prepare this proposal template, if there are no conflicts, we can start the process. Then the secretariat triggers the process in CEN and CENELEC, and it starts with a 30 days public announcement in the CEN and CENELEC webpage, in which every interested party can comment the proposal or can appoint to take part in the workshop. And you can take also this time to promote the workshop to increase this participation, which is always enriching the final work. Once this month has passed and the real work can start, the first step is the kickoff meeting of the workshop. This is a meeting. Sometimes this is confused. This is misleading with the workshop itself. This is not, as I mentioned before, the workshop is not an event. It's a group, and the first meeting of this workshop is the kickoff meeting. In this kind of meetings, well, there is a description of the workshop and the expected final document, the intentions of the work there. The participants appoint the chair, the proposed chair, and the secretariat, and then also they decide if they want to continue participating or not. To do this, they need to fill a registration form in which, well, some formalities from CEN-CENELEC are shown there. The most important, not the most important, but the one that sometimes provides more questions or launches more questions from the researchers, is the one related with the property of the knowledge put there. Of course, everyone puts their own knowledge in the agreement of this document, no, in the final standard. And of course, everyone is the owner of this knowledge. This knowledge doesn't pass to CEN and CENELEC, but the property of the final document, the published document, as this is written at the end, is a document of CEN and CENELEC. This is what you recognize in this form, that you will not have any revenues for having participating in this standardization work. But I agree that this, if you are not a lawyer, it's a bit frustrating text, but it has no consequences. Well, the next step after the kickoff meeting and after the appointment of the participants is well, there is the standardization work. No, is well, through some different meetings and homework. There will be a process of drafting and writing the text of the final CWA until there is an agreement on the draft. No, during this time, it's important to inform or even consult the relevant TCs, depending if they are interested or they are overlapping the scope. And when this agreement has been reached, there can be a period of public consultation or 30 days, also through the webpage of CEN and CENELEC, which is optional but is always recommended. And during this period, anyone can, even not participating in the workshop, can make comments to the published final draft. And once this period is finished, the workshop shall consider these comments and study them and adopt the ones that are reasonable, and justify why not they consider the other ones. No, and when there is a final document with these outside contributions, there is a final agreement. The participants agree on the final topic, on the final document and contents, and then we go through the next step, which is the publication. And the Secretariat sends this final draft to CEN and CENELEC, and they publish the final. At this stage, you can choose if there is a good possibility to have a free download of the CWA. In principle, the CEN workshop agreements are documents that the national standardization bodies can sell as any other standard document. But to promote these kind of topics coming from research activities, CEN-CENELEC provide this option of being downloaded free from the CEN-CENELEC webpage in this link that I show here. That is the CWA download area. And this is made by paying a unique fee, which is the 8% of the budget of the workshop secretariat, which is paid to CEN-CENELEC. And then the CWA can be downloaded for free, which is very interesting for promoting and to increase the impact of the project results. So the next step, once you reach this, the document is available, is published, and you can count on it as a project result. But there is again, well, a further use is important, not only publish it, but to promote their use. I will tell something about this in the practical recommendations. You can use the project media, the web page, the social media to promote the CWA. You must inform the related technical committees about the publication of the CWA and well, recommend their use, etc. No, it's important to promote the published document and not only to let them stay here in the catalog of CEN-CENELEC. And then there is a process of maintenance of this kind of documents. After 3 years, there is a consultation to the secretariat or to the organization, the national standardization body that provided the secretariat services to the original workshop, and also, if available, to the chair and to the participants on the well, on the suitability of this document after 3 years. No, we can confirm them from a further period of 3 years. We can recommend the review. We can recommend the withdrawal of the document if it is no longer relevant, or we can propose the conversion into another kind of document, EN standard, for example. And after 3 years and 3 more years and a total of 6 years, the documents will be withdrawn. So if there is not a conversion into another kind of document, it will be withdrawn. Okay. About the timing of all this process, well, I put here some. There is not a fixed timing, except in just the specific stages of public announcement that I mentioned before. The rest of times are, well, as just typical times. And I'm marking in red the ones that are mandatory always. The other one depends on the process, depends on if you need to subcontract an NSB or not, or you have one in the project consortium. So there can be many options, and the duration is very flexible. The minimum, if everything goes very, very fast, and the working pace is very fast, working almost every week or every 2 weeks. The CWA can be published in 3 months, but the usual case is longer. It's a bit longer. It takes usually between 6-12 months is the usual duration, no? But it can be faster if everything is well planned and well executed. Well, all this was the theory. Is just an adaptation of what is written in the CEN-CENELEC Guide 29 that I recommend to read if you want to use this kind of tool. And now goes my recommendations, or what we have learned during our experience in many projects that I think can be helpful for you. My first recommendation is to smooth this process at maximum. And for this, the first idea is to care with the overlapping TCs. Always study if there is an overlapping TCs and try to avoid potential conflicts with them. Why? Because, as I mentioned before, if there is some objection from the technical committees, you will go through a technical board decision, and the technical board decision in the 99% of cases is that sorry, but you cannot develop the workshop. You must collaborate with the TC, which changes completely the timing of the work. So avoid this kind of conflicts when selecting the topic for the CWA, and even when selecting the approach to the topic. Maybe you can approach the same topic but in a different way, which is not conflicting with the TC's work, or working plan. Also, another recommendation is to differentiate correctly the TCs that overlaps with the scope of the workshop, because they require consultation, and the TCs which are potentially interested. They should be informed, but you don't need to have their permission, let's say, to start the work. It is very interesting to differentiate them, because in many cases, when filling the proposal form, the proposers try to identify a lot of related standardization activities, because they think that it is this provides more relevance to the work. But this is not the case. What you are creating your own problems if you do this. You have to identify if there is a TC which overlaps with the scope, and the TCs that can be interested, but very, very closely interested, no? Because otherwise you will be adding steps and adding activities to do when performing the workshop that will get more work from your side, and more time. The second aspect to be taken into account, my second recommendation, this is not always done, but I recommend to do it, is to start the work with the kickoff meeting, having a first draft of the CWA, even a simple one, but it makes easier to the participants, mostly to the external participants, to the consortium, to understand the aim of the workshop, really to see in practice what are the topics that are included in the draft CWA, and this will save a lot of time, because it's more easier to start contributing to something, or start making comments that start from scratch, start from a blank paper. No? Another recommendation to smooth the process, to select a good topic. How to select a topic, which is sometimes one of the most difficult steps at the beginning of this process. No? For example, when we participate, we are partners in a project. Sometimes it's easy to identify what will be the standardization outcome of the project, because from the beginning there is an idea of developing, for example, a methodology to do whatever, and the outcome of the standards shall be a standard of covering this methodology, of course. But in other cases, in other kind of projects, it is not so easy. And sometimes, in many cases, we don't know at the beginning of the project what will be the standardization outcome. There are many options, and all of them can be good as well. The CWA is one of them, and it must select one of the project outcomes to be standardized. No, so About the possible topics, you must avoid the safety-related aspects because they are forbidden. Currently, they are forbidden in the environment of CENELEC. But in the last revision of the Guide 29, which will be published at very short time, it will be forbidden as well in the CEN. So forget about everything related with safety aspects. And as I mentioned before, avoid the topics that can lead to a CEN-CENELEC BT decision, because probably the decision will be to stop the workshop, no? And this means the management systems and the conflicts, the unsolved conflicts with existing technical committees. Examples of usual topics can be, well, terminology, for example, test methods. We'll see some examples afterwards. Every kind of methodology, criteria, or indicators to take decision taking, and of course as well product specifications. Also, there are many options that can be good to standardize. The internal considerations in the project to select the topic, well, from our experience, the most important is to check the available information that we got. Of course, you must select project results which has been successful, not something that doesn't work. It's important or is wise to use existing information or existing deliverables as sources, because it's easier to adapt the content of the deliverables to the structure of a standard that start writing from a blank paper. You must check the confidentiality of this information, but be wise when doing it, because we know that many of the deliverables of the projects are confidential by default, but the information that there is some not confidential information that can be extracted even from a confidential deliverable. You must think that in standards, you should focus on the performance, not on the specific details. So it's sometimes easy to take away the confidential information and focus on the characteristics or on the performance that must be complied without compromising this confidentiality. Okay. And the last constraint, of course, is that you must have these results with enough time to allow this standardization process that I mentioned before. So it is not interesting a result that will be available in the last month of the project, because then you will have no time to develop the standardization activity during the project. It's important as well to think on the exploitation of results. A standard can support that. This is the main aim of using a standardization, is support the commercialization of the market uptake of a project result. So you must consider this when selecting the topic. If you can select a topic that will be having benefits of this standard publication, is the reason to do it, no? And you must consider as well then in this case the IP protection, the intellectual property protection. For example, if you want to patent the same topic, well, you will need to grant the confidentiality during the patent application until the information is free. So this can this can compromise the elaboration of the CWA, no? So all these kind of aspects shall be considered when selecting a topic. And finally, the last interesting criteria is the standardization potential. So the standard, the CWA in this case, must be useful outside the project. It must be something that can be interesting for other sectors, for the industry in general, or for the industry in one sector or one more sector. So this has been taken into account. This must be taken into account. And the style, of course, the secretariat of the workshop will inform you about this and guide you in doing this. But the style of the wording of the document must be general. Must avoid different direct references to the project, or so the wording from one deliverable is different from the wording of a standard, and these adaptations shall be taken into account as well. Well, the last recommendation is to increase the impact. In many cases, we have seen projects that okay, we reach to publish the CWA, and then they almost forget it and concentrate in their next problems, in the next deliverables and activities. But it's important to publicize as well the initiation and the publication of the CWA works in project media, in everything that you can use to increase the impact of this document. You should include it in the list of project outcomes if it is not in the list of deliverables, but it's an important project outcome. You must inform the project officer, your advisory board, the related TCs, etc. Everyone that you can think can be interested in it, because it's important that they know and they use it. And you should also include it in the reporting of the project as an important project outcome, even if it's not a specific deliverable. And to promote the future use, especially when there is a related technical committee, is very interesting to involve them in the elaboration of the CWAs. In case there are an overlapping technical committee, you can propose them to be the responsible for the maintenance of the CWA in the future, which is more interesting because it is easier that at the end becomes a full standard. And well, to propose this, well, you can discuss this with the TC during the elaboration and propose it. And also it's important
Fernando, can you hear us? We have some technical issues, but I think that we will soon fix that. Audio and video are frozen, and Fernando is closing his near to the end of his presentation. Can we start the Mentimeter session? Liana?
Yes, of course. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. And we can, just a second, and we can go to the first question. We have 2 questions for you in this session. We can kindly ask you to join us at menti.com and use the code you see on the screen, or just scan the QR code. The code is 55872991, and answer the question, what are the benefits of making the CBA instead of, let's say, EN standard or technical specification? You have several answers here. only some of them are correct. The first one says CVA provides more impact in the market. CVA can be developed much faster before the end of the project. CVA can be downloaded for free. CVA has a non-limited life. And CVA is mandatory for R&I projects. I think Julie could share the link with you in the chat, and we can wait a couple of more minutes.
Yes, in the meantime, while you are answering, well, sorry, because I've lost the connection in the, I don't know if you have here the full presentation or not. I think the last moments I was kicked off of the connection, so sorry for this.
Of course, we went to the first Mentimeter session. Here is the first question. I will give the floor back to you, maybe to comment on this question.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Well, I think you have been making good use of the webinar because most of the answers are correct. Yes, the two correct answers for the second and the third one. The CWA doesn't provide more impact than any EN standard. Of course, the kind of standard that provides more impact is the EN standard, but due to the other characteristics, specifically from the time, is most used in the projects. So very well.
Fernando, would you like to finish your presentation and then we could go to the second question?
I don't know where we have finished or until when you have listened, but
I think you have several slides left with case studies.
Yes.
Yes,
maybe we can show the examples that I think can be interesting.
I give the floor back to you.
Yes, thank you. I will share my screen. Yes, here you are. Okay, well, just some examples of projects or past projects having used the CWA. For example, in this case, well, Bionic Aircraft, for example, is a good example because they developed two of them. One with a methodology to transform to redesign some aircraft parts from solid parts to hollow parts made by additive manufacturing. And this methodology has raised the interest of one ISO TC on biomimetics, and it can become in the future. They are considering it to become in the future an ISO standard. So it's a good example of how the impact of the project, or the result from a project deliverable or public publication to a CEN-CENELEC publication and to an ISO standard is a big jump, no? And the other CWA was about a quality control method for this kind of new parts, no? So it's quite a good example. VisualCAD, for example, is interesting because in this case we made a CWA on a methodology that was previously patented by the owner, by the project coordinator. It was a methodology for the preparation of nanocatalyst. And they developed this result early in the project. They have the time to ask for the patent, and once the information was free, then we start in the last months of the project the standardization work. Some more examples from Planet, for example, my colleague Javier will talk about it. C-Titan is a good example because it's related with product requirements. They develop units for capturing the energy of the waves. that can be implemented in many different systems, manufacturer systems. So they develop a standard with the characteristics of this power unit, and also a test method to check if the power unit can be compatible with the systems of the manufacturer. So it's very interesting when they want to commercialize this, to have these two standards in the market. And the last examples are just to show you that CWAs are easy to use in the projects, are important, but they cannot be the only option. No? In these two projects, for example, we use the CWA, but also we use other kind of activities. For example, in the first one, next over, we produce a CWA with a test method, a new test method. But there was an ISO standard having another test method that was applicable to the topics of the project, but was not fitting it very well. So they need some modifications. And in this case, some partners of the project became part of the technical committee and led the revision of this standard to ensure the consideration of these topics. And in the second case, we also develop in Arete, we also develop a CWA, but the participants also work in ISO, IC, and IEEE working groups. Even they lead some of them, publishing, driving to the publishment of different standards. So this is a kind of outcome that can be merged or can be used simultaneously with other standardization activities. Yes, so we can go to the second question of the Mentimeter.
Thank you very much. I will share my screen once again, and we can go to the second Mentimeter session. Julie will once again share the link with you in the chat. The code this time is 29728326, and the question: which topics are specifically forbidden from CBAs? The boring ones, management systems, PDCA, those under the scope of an existing TC, safety matters, or all the above? Okay. We have some results here. Fernando, do you want to comment on this maybe?
Yes. In this case, there are more confusions. The ones that are forbidden are the ones related to safety. The only ones. The other will need, but we need a decision, permission from CEN and CENELEC, but can be possible. They are, from my side, not recommended, but they can be possible in this case. So the only ones which are completely forbidden are the safety ones.
Okay, thank you very much for an interesting presentation.
Thank you.
And for these sessions. And I think Raquel is next. Raquel, stage is yours.
Thank you. I will share my screen. Do you see my screen now? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So it is my pleasure to share with you today Charisma activities and especially our standardization activities. Charisma is a project under the topic NMVP 35 involving harmonization characterization protocols in NMVP. It runs until October this year, and it involves 14 beneficiaries from 9 different countries. And it is all about Raman spectroscopy, despite the fact that this term is not included in the title. So what we aim to do is to harmonize Raman data, so data that come from different instruments and obtained by different users or any other variations, can be compared and used in models and used as reference for any other lab or any other instrument. So the basis for this, why we are focusing on this, is because there's an increased use of Raman spectroscopy both in the industry and the academy, and this is claiming for standards or norms, which is the language of the industry sometimes, but are also relevant for the academy. We also need to work under realistic conditions increasingly, and computational support is also becoming very important. And all of this can help for data harmonization and obtaining fair data, which is data that are findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And this FAIR acronym can also stand for artificial intelligence reading, because that is also one of the main aims nowadays for characterization data. So Raman spectroscopy is about the interaction of radiation with matter that provides information in the form of a spectrum. And unfortunately, it is not as nice as it was shown before. There are many factors that may cause variations in Raman data. And I didn't want to lose the opportunity, as we are in a standardization workshop, to show you a Raman characterization experiment expressed as the CWA, a recent CWA indicates, that is a CWA for materials characterization structure. So the experiment can be structured in different levels: sample measurement and preparation, the instrument qualification and verification, data acquisition, and data analysis. And in these steps, there are activities related to the user, to the experiment, to the data, and to data processing. So first, for Raman experiments, we need a sample and an optimized acquisition method to measure. But even though users sometimes are not aware of that, reference samples are also needed for calibration of the instrument. Depending on the needs and on the type of instrument, this calibration is more important or less important, or can be done by the manufacturer or by the user itself. Then with this, we can get calibration and raw data, and with some first pretreatment of data. And then with further calibration and some pre-processing, we can obtain primary spectrum. And if we work a bit more, we can get harmonized data, and all of this can go to databases or not. And if we further process the data, we can get secondary data such as peak positions, peak intensity, full width at half maximum, components of the spectra, and finally understand what properties the matter has and are relevant for us. So Charisma is working on the development of reference materials and to be able to calibrate in a straightforward way the devices, so we can harmonize data, and also providing some tools for pretreatment and processing of data and data formats for databases. And how we do this? We do this with our partners, which are in the work package to Sorbonne University and Free University of Brussels, dealing with theoretical calculations of spectra. Work package 3 is led by Elodis and supported by Intua, and they are leading with the acquisition of experimental spectra and calibration protocols. In work package 4, led by Fraunhofer, we deal with the different algorithms and for data harmonization. And IDEA is leading work package 5, trying to provide user-friendly interfaces and data formats. And the dissemination of all this is led by Jordas, and in the standardization activities we have UNE. And an important work package here is also the one of the case studies. to demonstrate our tools. In this CSIC, the coordinator is also playing an interface role to different institutes that are the link to the companies that are developing and are applying Raman to the nanomaterials synthesis. With Haldor Topsoe in the development of security nanomarkers with the Spanish Mint, and for food packaging and the traceability of the safety of food with Encapsula, a small company. So the idea is that our aim is to help with the lack of interoperability and increasingly software hardware that provides data with less resolution, also with a variety of needs in the industry and common needs nowadays, like the Internet of Things and artificial intelligence and others. So we aim to support academic research and industrial implementation. And for this, what we are developing is a calibration protocol that is not aiming at reinventing the wheel, but using existing initiatives, because there are already several standards about how to calibrate in Raman spectroscopy, but sometimes they are not combined, not coherent, and sometimes not complete. So our aim is to provide a full calibration path that can be applied for data after acquisition, that considers the instrument as a whole, not parts of it, and that addresses in detail how to process data. And we are also developing some or testing some reference samples, and also a special one for Raman devices pairing. We're also involved in the development of a data format for Raman spectroscopy that is based on Nexus format, a well-known data format based on HDF5. The idea is that we can read original file formats from common manufacturers or common formats like CSV, for example. We can store this data together with the relevant metadata and with the transformations that are applied to the data to get the process harmonized data, so that this process can be reversed whenever needed, and that it is stored in a database when it can be easily reused. And finally, we're also developing a user-friendly wrapper add-on for ORATS data mining software, which is open source and open access. And this contains some predefined routines, for example, for calibration and device pairing, but you can do it yourself. You can decide, prepare a routine. It's quite easy to use, and we are very happy with this tool. So regarding the reference samples, we have evaluated different neon lamps, which is a common reference material for X-axis calibration. We have evaluated different silicon wafers that are complementary to this neon lamp information. We have developed new LED lamps for intensity calibration because we found that some reference materials offered by NIST are sometimes not available, out of stock, and there are several problems with this. And in the end, we decided that we should try to standardize some of our developments. And how we do this is through a CEN-CENELEC workshop. We had our kickoff meeting last month. It is about Raman devices calibration, verification, and tuning protocols, and it is split into two CWAs, one about devices calibration verification, and the other one for devices tuning. In the link, you can access the information of this workshop and even register for participation. So the steps for us, for Charisma, towards this CWA are: first, awareness raising; second, identification of the topics; third, to contact the related standardization committees, and finally prepare the workshop and launching the process. That is the status nowadays. So regarding awareness raising, the first point for us was to understand the CWA concept. That was very useful for us to have UNE on board our project. We knew from the beginning that we wanted to go for standardization, and that's why we have UNE as a partner. So they explain us the benefits it can provide to the project and some examples of CWA. So we were ready for the second step that is the identification of the topic. Here it's important to start the identification soon enough. In our case, we started at month 18 because it takes time. And it's also interesting to know that the debate to identify this topic helps to the common understanding of the impact strategy of the project. So it's not losing time, and it's not too early in the project because both things go in parallel. So the topic requirements in our case, we found out that it must be a result generated in the project that is available and validated and mature enough, and ideally with high innovation. Ideally at the core of the project, but it is not mandatory. So one important point is to analyze the standardization landscape to confirm the workshop path and some possible overlappings and what is the status nowadays before going for that. And an important part is that we need partners that are responsible of the selected result, because they will have a very active role in the process of standardization. Once the topics were identified, the next step was to contact with the related standardization committees. Why is this important? Because this confirms the standardization path, and these committees can be a very good dissemination channel for the initiative, and also this contact is an open door for future contributions of these committees to the CWA that we want to develop. The way of doing that is first to select the relevant technical committees to the topic, then define the content that we want to disseminate and elaborate in a summary and to share with them. Contact these technical committees at an early stage of the project, and at this moment we can ask for feedback, and then at a later stage we can contact again with them and invite them to the CWA. So once we have all these steps, we can prepare the workshop and launch the process. The idea is, before going to the kickoff meeting, to have a draft CWA as mature as possible, because this way you ensure that the CWA reflects the project development. And so we are asking to the workshop participants for contribution for review of the idea, but not for new ideas. In Charisma, we didn't transform directly a deliverable into a draft CWA because we integrated some different areas of the project. It is very important to disseminate this very actively, and we are happy that we got representatives of many fields of Raman spectroscopy, including manufacturers and standardization committees, other projects, and relevant scientists in the field. In our kickoff meeting, we had 22 participants. Some of them were Charisma partners and the rest were external. So as a summary of the standardization activities in Charisma, this is our duration of the project. In the first 9 months, we performed the review of the standardization landscape. We have that led to a couple of publications that are very much appreciated by some stakeholders. Then from month 9 and month 15, we planned the standardization process, deciding to go for the CWA. Then until the half of the project, we were working on the interaction with the standardization committees, starting afterwards to identify the charisma topics. And finally, in the last period of the project, we are working on the standardization process itself. In addition to this, I would like to mention that we are also planning an interlaboratory study of these Raman harmonization protocols that will be launched soon, and that we are also disseminating our activities through a Raman school. We had a successful one in Turin in 2022, and the next one will be taking place this summer as a satellite event of the ICORS conference on Raman spectroscopy. So just a brief overview of this Raman standardization landscape. It is very complex. There are many standards, but it's somehow incomplete. But fortunately, it is evolving. And what we see is that from academia and users, it is very important to understand and remove setup-induced variations. And anything we develop should lead us to engage with the standardization development. For manufacturers, it's difficult to get access to calibration methods and raw data that would help the investigation of all these processes involving Raman data generation. We have some problems with the standardization bodies and documents. Sometimes they are not open access, they are not easy to use, and they are evolving, and we need sometimes updated documents that are not ready when we need them. The standardization process is not so fast as research. But we need to live on that because standardization is the language of the industry. And regarding metrology institutes and the development of certified reference materials, we think that improved accessibility is needed because some standards are not accessible. For example, those developed in China are difficult to get. Some are out of stock, and that is sometimes a problem for the application of standards in common day. So with this, I would like to thank you and also all Charisma partners for the contribution to Charisma project. And I invite you to follow us in our social media and write to me if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Raquel. Can we go now to our second Mentimeter session?
Yes.
Or third, as Julie already mentioned, I will share my screen. Okay, so once again, if you could go to menti.com and answer the question. The code is 44716536, and the question: why is standardization important in Raman spectroscopy? Industry needs standards. Many factors contribute to the variability of the Raman signal. To make Raman data fair, or to teach users what Raman spectroscopy is. Okay, Raquel, do you want to comment?
Well, I see there's a variety of answers. I would say standards are not intended to teach users about what Raman spectroscopy is. We need other sources of information for that. But standards are really needed in the industry, and they are important because many factors contribute to the variability of Raman data. And they help making Raman data fair, but they are not enough for that. So they help, but we need more efforts to make Raman data fair.
Okay, great, thank you. And can we go to the second question right now? Another question, Julie will share the link for the fourth session, 5985-9511. Which recommendations are suitable to launch a CEN workshop from a research and innovation project? It's important to select a topic which development is at an early stage in the R&D project to reflect the innovation process in the development of CVA or CWA, how you like it. Start the development of the CVA in the first workshop meeting from scratch to let workshop participants to better introduce their ideas. The standardization landscape analysis is not needed for the development of a CVA, since it does not follow the normal standard development process, or select a topic within the project, consider the standardization landscape, and develop the draft CVA as mature as possible before the first workshop meeting.
Well, this question was much easier, as everybody. No, yeah, but the last answer is the correct one. So
yes,
I think
yes, of course. Thank you very much for an interesting presentation, and thank everyone for their answers. And now I give the floor to Javier.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Liliana, and thank you very much also to Ivana and HSbooster for the invitation to participate in this event. I will show you now my presentation. And as you can see, we are now going to talk about the 4 planet and top steel projects and their standardization results. So first of all, I would like to make a brief presentation of raw projects, and then I will present the standardization results that were developed during the projects. Finally, I will give some information about the process we follow to achieve these standardization results. The 4 Planet project is a Horizon 2020 project that lasted 3 years and counted with the participation of 6 partners. It was coordinated by EUROCAT, and the main objective of this project was to develop new testing methodologies that could be applicable for the sheet metal industry, with an expected impact to prevent production losses, to be able to predict the part performance when being produced or in service, and for sure to assure that zero defects production that every industry wishes to achieve. On the other hand, the Top Steel project is also a Horizon 2020 project that lasted 2 years and counted with 8 partners. It was also coordinated by EUROCAT and has a different objective that were most focused on the promotion of the knowledge to transfer all the results of the activity of using the fracture toughness methodology when used to address the cracking problems of the steel sheets. And was also dedicated in particular to the advanced high-strength steel sheets. The expected impacts, in fact, were similar to the 4 Planet projects and were to improve the efficiency and the competitiveness of the sheet metal industry at the European level by prevention those production losses and reduction of the production costs. At this time, we can ask ourselves why standardization was included in these projects, and we can start with very easy reasons, because the standardization activity was found as useful to disseminate the project findings, to make the knowledge gained available for a lot of partner stakeholders, also taking advantage of the landscape systems and all the companies and industry participating in the technical committees. This was also seen as a helpful tool for the future acceptance and implementation by the market of that results of the projects. and also because there were found gaps with the existing standards that were being used by the partners in the projects. They found that the published standards were missing some details that perhaps should be useful for their activities. And also, there were no standards for some details, some aspects that the partners in the project found interesting. So concerning the thin metal sheet for advanced high-strength steel sheets. Finally, taking into account that the Four Planet project was a test hub with the aim to provide testbed services, they were willing to provide confidence to the users to make the results of the testing more reliable and with more quality. All of these reasons led the projects to make a decision to propose the revision of some standards, existing standards, and to develop new standards, the CWAs that we have mentioned before in the previous presentations. With respect for planet and of steel, there was a first step that also has been mentioned in the previous presentation, that was the creation of CEN Workshop. Just to remind you that the CEN Workshop is not an event, it's a group of participants that join to consensuate deliverables. In the case of For Planet, we counted on the participation of 6 partners of the 16, and 1 external organization participated too. In the case of Tough Steel, we counted with 3 partners of the consortium with more external participation, in this case, 3 organizations. And the main standardization results were the development of CWAs, 2 by each project, and being 3 of them test method standards deliverables for different aspects of the thin metal sheets and for the advanced high-strength steel sheets. One of these CWAs was more related to guidelines to provide information to give the possibility to evaluate the stress fracture toughness in this kind of sheet and not a testing standard. Other standardization results of these projects were the proposals to review standards in the case of For Planet, proposals to review ISO standards, and in the case of Tough Steel, the proposal to upgrade, in particular, those CWAs that were developed during the project. This is a proposal that is at this time in a study. And finally, about the process, we have to say that we didn't start from scratch, and in our cases, the process started in a different way that Fernando and Raquel have mentioned about having a first draft of the CUA, the CWA at the beginning of the CEN workshop. In our cases, we took advantage of some deliverables of the projects already done or done during the project, and some the results of the tasks that were adapted into the 2 CWAs. This is the case of On Planet, but in the case of Tough Steel, we followed the same strategy. We took advantage of a specific deliverable and some EuroCAD research studies that were adapted for the 2 CWAs. So in the case you don't have a first draft at the beginning of the CEN workshop, this can be another possibility. About the organization of the works to achieve these results, we followed the strategy of establishing a main work performed by the responsibles of the deliverables, for adapting the existing documents or information, and another type of work consisting in a supporting work to review and comment the documents and to take part in the approval decision that was performed by all the partners. It's also very important to have a calendar, because you have seen that developing CWAs is a very detailed process with several stages. So defining milestones and specific times for each task is crucial. And finally, some good practices. You have seen that we have a lot of advices for you when developing CWAs. These are only 3, but for sure there are also more. The first one would be to involve all the partners in the standardization activities. Normally, the standardization activities are assigned to the national standardization bodies participating in the project, but this is not intended to make the standardization body to work alone, but to involve all partners in order to obtain more consensuated results and more richness in the results. It is also interesting, as I said previously, to take advantage of partial project results. It can save a lot of time when developing CWAs, for example. And of course, to assign clearly responsibilities, to have a calendar and a schedule with the milestones that not also have to be defined, but they must be known by all the participants in the CEN workshop. So this is all from my side. Thank you very much. Now, I think we are going to the third Mentimeter session.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Javier. I will share my screen for the last time today. And we can go to the 5th Mentimeter session. Julie will share the codes and the link in the chat. Join us at menti.com. The code is 24970786. And answer the question, what are standardization activities in R&I project? Proposal to modify an existing standard, elaboration of European standards, elaboration of CVA, or modification of an existing standard. We can wait a couple of more minutes. Okay. Javier, would you like to comment on this?
Yes, okay. I see that most of you have correctly responded to this answer. In fact, the good ones are the first and the third answers. In the case of a research and innovation project or a CEN workshop, in the basis of these kind of projects, elaboration of a European standard or modification an existing standard is not possible. This is something that is reserved to the technical committees, standardization technical committees.
Thank you very much. And we can go to the 6th and final Mentimeter session for today. Once again, the code is 29585413. What are the good practices when developing a CVA? Drafting by a single person until publication, taking advantage of partial project results, assigning the draft commenting to the project coordination, or defining milestones and the calendar. Okay.
Okay, some other answer. Okay, I think that you have also took the idea of that I wish to transmit to you, and most of you have correctly responded with the second and the fourth answers. In the case of commenting the project of the CWA, this is not assigned to the coordination of the project. It should be done by all the participants in a workshop. That's because they have the opportunity to provide input, and it's a task that is not only reserved to the project coordination. And of course, none of you have respond to the first answer. That it's okay. I'm happy to see that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much to our speakers, and thank you very much to our audience. I give the floor back to Ivana.
Thank you so much. And now, thank you so much, all of you, for your wonderful presentation. And now we have to have a very quick Q&A session. I think that we have one question for Ferdinand. Sorry, for Fernando. Fernando, are you with us? Yeah. Question is, are there records of unsuccessful CVA proposal published by CEN-CENELEC? I don't think so.
Unsuccessful? No, I think not. Yes.
No.
Yes, no.
So, do you have any information about acceptance rate of such proposals?
Well, I cannot give a number, but well, in our case, at the end, you will have the support of a national standardization body having the secretariat, so they will try to smooth the process and try to avoid any problem so the success rate is very, very high in our case. I think from 100 projects we had problems in one only, so it's very, very high.
Yeah, thank you so much. That would be all. So now I would like to share my screen to say thank you. And thank you, Fernando, Raquel, and Javier, for providing us great training, and we learned a lot today. So once more, recorded version of this training session will be available as soon as possible. And CEN-CENELEC Workshop Agreement and CVA is, I think, much closer to our audience after your training. Thank you so much. After I have just a few information for you at the end of our training session. I would like to say thank you to our wonderful Biljana from Belgrade and Julie from Milan, I hope, which support our training session today and provide all that we enjoyed today. I have only few information. Please try to see our other training session. We have recorded training session as well as written training material on more than 25 topics related to standardization in research and innovation aspects. So basically, please try to see our open call for a project, apply for the HSbooster services, and visit our standardization orientation tool. It can be your first step in informed standardization strategies. And please try to see, you can find it on HSbooster website. So thank you so much for being with us today. Seeing you in our next training session, and have a nice day. Goodbye to all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you
Thank you.
Thank
for
you
the
once more.
organization.